Mira gave me this fascinating set of letters that occurred between Bill Wilson, who was one of the founders of AA, and Carl Jung. And what had happened was Jung had had a patient named Roland H., who was the founder of AA. And Jung had told Roland H. that his case was hopeless and that only a religious conversion could affect his addiction to alcohol. And to which Bill Wilson wrote, "Dear Dr. Jung, this letter of great appreciation has been long overdue." It tells about AA, and then he says, I doubt if you were aware that a certain conversation you once had with one of your patients, a Mr. Roland H., back in the early 30s, played a critical role in the founding of our fellowship. Though Roland H. has long since passed away, the recollection of a remarkable experience, he remembers it as follows. Having exhausted other means of recovery from his alcoholism, it was about 31 he became your patient. He remained under your care for perhaps a year. His admiration for you was boundless. He left you with a feeling of much confidence. To his great consternation, he soon relapsed into intoxication. Certainly that you were his court of last resort, he again returned to your care. Then followed the conversation between you that was to become the first link in the chain of events that led to the founding of AA. My recollection of this account is this. First of all, you frankly told him of his hopelessness, so far as any further medical or psychiatric treatment might be concerned. This candid and humble statement of yours was beyond doubt the first foundation stone upon which our society has since been built. Coming from you, one he so trusted and admired, the impact upon him was immense. When he then asked you if there was any other hope, you told him there might be, provided he could become the subject of a spiritual or religious experience. In short, a genuine conversion. You pointed out how such an experience had brought about might remotivate him when nothing else could. But you did caution him that these were comparatively rare. You recommended he place himself in a religious atmosphere and hope for the best. Then it tells about how he, in fact, did join a group and it did do it, okay? And then this fellow's story about his thing. And his letter from Jung. Dear Mr. Wilson, I had no news from Roland H. anymore and often wondered what had been his fate. Our conversation, which he has adequately reported to you, had an aspect of which he did not know. The reason that I could not tell him everything was that those days I had to be exceedingly careful of what I said. I had found out that I was misunderstood in every possible way, thus I was very careful when I talked to him. But what I really thought about was the result of many experiences with men of his kind. His craving for alcohol was the equivalent on a low level of the spiritual thirst of our being for wholeness. That's that same thing of coming back into the one. Expressed in medieval language, the union with God. How could one formulate such an insight in a language that is not misunderstood in our days? The only right and legitimate way to such an experience is that it happens to you in reality, and it can only happen to you when you walk on a path which leads you to a higher understanding. You might be led to that goal by an act of grace, or through a personal and honest contact with friends, or through a higher education of the mind beyond the confines of mere rationalism. Okay? These are the three paths that he's pointing out. I see from your letter that Roland H. has chosen the second way, which was, under the circumstances, obviously the best one. Okay. Just thought you'd be interested in that. You see, alcohol in Latin is spiritus, and you use the same word for the highest religious experience as well as for the most depraving poison. The helpful formula thus is spiritus contra spiritum. Thank you again for your kind letter. It's from it's in Parabola. It's reprinted. I'm sure it's reprinted in all the AA literature.
Satya, mind, body, spirit, health, and healing.